Hey everybody, it's Kathy. I'm coming to you live from my office/yoga room. Welcome to episode 6 of Mondays on the Mat. We're going to be talking about perfect poses for post-hike. But before we even do that, hey, happy first day of spring also. And if you're like, yeah, first day of spring, but wah, wah. This is totally normal. I'm not going to get into this today, but just know that spring has the element of what we call kapha. It's a little bit heavy, it's a little bit damp, it's a little bit feeling like I don't want to, or depressed, or I just want to lay on the couch and eat ice cream. So totally normal, which is why I'm thrilled that today's episode is all about post-hike, because one of the things that we can do in early spring to help combat some of those heavy down feelings is to get out and get moving. Get on your yoga mat when it's sprinkling and wet out. Get outside and hike when you can. It's green, the flowers are blooming. It's a great time of year to be hiking. And so thank you to Josie for asking me a couple weeks ago in class what are some great poses that she could do post-hike, especially she says that her hips bother her a lot or feel really uncomfortable after hiking. So I've got a really sweet little less than 5-minute sequence that you can do after a hike. But first, let's talk about the main muscles that are getting repeatedly engaged when you're hiking, so that you know then what we're going to do is relieve all of that consistent contraction. Oh, there we go. Agnes just kind of took off and gave me a little bit of a breather, so I'm not as distracted now. So when you hike, the main muscles that are being engaged and contracted over and over are the gluteus maximus. That's the largest muscle at the back of your butt hip area. Your quadriceps, that's the top of your thighs from your knee up to the hip. Your hamstrings, the back of your leg, the back of the thigh, and the calf muscles. Those are the main groups that get used a lot. And then there's also a little bit of hip flexors, which is the top front of your hips, right where it creases. Here we go. Here's a cat. I don't think you guys can see her, but she's asking to be let out. So, it's all about taking care of the animals. This is real life, guys. That's how it rolls. Go on. Now she's like thinking about it. Cool. Well, Guildenstern's going to think about whether or not she wants to leave the room, and we're going to finish up. So the frontal hip flexors, and then also your abdominal muscles. And what I did for this sequence today is I planned it as though you had driven to a trailhead and parked your car and gone for your hike. And I think it's really wise to do these poses right when you get done hiking while your body is still warm, because the muscles are a lot more malleable when they're warm. That means you're gonna feel more open and like you're able to stretch and relieve some of that constant contraction and work in those muscles. So what I'm going to do is, you can see right over here, kind of, is the edge of a desk, and we're going to pretend that the edge of that desk is the hood or the trunk of your car. And if it happens to be really hot out, have like a small hand towel that you can place on your car so that you're not burning your fingers and whatnot as we get into the demonstration. So here we go, today's quick and easy post-hike sequence. Also, Guildenstern left the room, so we're good now. So pretending that this desk is the hood or the trunk of your car, the first thing you're going to do is come into puppy dog, which is a right angle. There we go, that looks more like a right angle. And you're going to elongate your legs and tilt your sits bones up. And that's going to begin to relieve the hamstrings and the calves, depending on how tight you are, maybe also the gluteals. You want a long spine here. So some of us, we have a tendency to totally drop the shoulders. And that's going to take it into a back bend and a shoulder stretch, which we don't want or need right now. So you press forward and away with your hands. Let your head line up with your arms. Lift up through your legs and your sits bones. 5 or 10 long, slow, deep breaths. When you're done with that, lift up a little and take a modified pyramid pose. So you're going to step 1 foot in and 1 foot back. And the back foot is on a diagonal facing away. So right now, my left foot is in back and it's on a diagonal. I'll switch legs so that you might be able to see that a little bit better in the right leg. The foot going out on a diagonal. You're going to take your upper body into the same shape you just had it in puppy dog. And as you're in this shape, the foot that's in front, you're going to press forward and away, again, as you lift your sits bones up, and you'll get another long stretch through the calves and the hamstrings. You might even, depending again on your range of motion, be feeling something in the back leg. Press forward and away with the hands, forward and away with the front foot, back and down into the back heel. And you'll stay in this shape, again, about 5 to 10 long, slow, deep breaths. Make sure you change sides and do the other side. Next, you're going to turn and rest your hips onto your car with your feet forward like 8 to 10 inches, pretty far, and lean forward and down over your legs. If your legs are tight, your knees can be bent here, but as much as you can, you want to press into your feet, lift your sits bones up, and let the upper body just dangle here. Again, relieving the backs of the legs. You might even get relief in your back. 5 to 10 long, slow, deep breaths. Next, getting into the quadriceps and a little bit the frontal hip flexors. You can face your car or turn sideways. I'll show you both here. Quadriceps stretch, you're just going to reach down and find the foot or ankle. Now, when you're in this shape, you want your knees together. What can happen is that the knee wants to lift up and out, and that's getting into a different muscle group. So to really get into the quadriceps, bring your knees close and your frontal hip bones even. So not lifting up in the hip of the leg that you're holding, but dropping that hip down. You can flex your foot. I don't know if you can see that. Let me spin backwards. You can flex your foot over your hand so that you have like a little bit of a handle. Lift up through your front body as the knee reaches down. That's definitely going to get into the quadricep, the top of your thigh. If you're feeling like you want more in the frontal hip flexor, the crease at the top of your hip, you can gently move the leg back a little. Let's not go all the way into dancer pose. We're not really warmed up in all of the component parts for that, but you can move it back a little and lengthen up through your chest. That's going to also give you some elongation in the front body. 5 to 10 breaths. Then staying on this side, release your foot. We're going to come into a modified chair pigeon pose. So you'll cross the ankle above the standing knee, keeping this foot flexed, the one that's on top. Some of us have a tendency to roll the foot and the ankle upwards, and we want to keep that gently engaged. You can use, again, your car for some balance here. Or if you want to go a little deeper, you can bring your forearms onto your shin. This pose is going to get the outer hip, the gluteals, on both sides in a slightly different way. So the standing leg is going to feel like a true stretch right through the gluteal, whereas the leg that's on top is going to get a little bit more of the outer hip and gluteus minimus and medius. 5 to 10 breaths. And then you want to repeat on the second side the quadricep stretch for 5 to 10 breaths. Release your foot and come into the modified standing chair pigeon. Same thing, about 5 to 10 breaths. Guildenstern is back, you guys. Should we let her in? Let's see what happens. Oh, and she even said hello. I don't know if you could hear her, but there she is down by the bottom of the screen. Okay, let's say, can I pick her up and say hi to everybody? This is Gildan Stern. Yes, she has Rosencrantz as her sister, sleeping in the bed right now. Okay, so we've done puppy dog, modified pyramid pose. In a classroom, we would call this wall hang. Since we're at our car, we'll call it car hang. Hello. Then we did quadriceps stretch, lifting up through the front body, modified chair pigeon, and then lastly, just a nice front body opener, both arms out and up overhead. Interlace your fingers, roll your palms to the sky, and stand straight and tall. So not a back bend, okay? Just lifting up through your torso to create length here. The reason I'm having you not back bend is because there are some component parts to back bends that should be warmed up before you go into them, and I just don't think they're the smartest thing to do after hiking. But you can definitely reach up and lengthen the whole front body to relieve the abdominals. You guys, yes, when I do yoga at home, sometimes this happens. But it's all good because it really teaches you how to go with the flow and to allow life to happen. I think this is one of the, oh, she's stuck on me, one of the greatest wisdoms that we can learn when we practice at home or out, at your car after your hike. You're maybe chatting with your friends or someone, needs to park their car. We just work around it and get back into our practice. So those were your perfect post-hike poses to help you release and relieve your quadriceps, your gluteals, your hamstrings, your calves, a little bit the frontal hip flexors, and a little bit the abdominals. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them and I will happily answer you. I try to stay tuned a little bit here on Mondays to answer anything that you think of that comes up along the way. And again, thank you so much to Josie for your question. This week in class, we're going to be doing some back bends and twists, asymmetrical back bends and twists. And hey, please note, I'm going to be away on Wednesday. So this week we have group classes on Tuesday, 6:30 to 8, Friday, 9:30 to 11, Saturday, 9 to 10:30, yes. And then next week I'll be back to my full regular schedule. And also next week I have one regular open private spot for about 3 to 4 weeks. So if you're preferring to work at your own pace, to work on some posture or category that we're not working on in group classes, please reach out and let me know, and we can get you on the schedule. Last but not least, if you have questions about yoga, poses, philosophy, wisdom, how to apply it to real life, whatever it is that's on your mind, there's no such thing as a wrong or silly question when it comes to yoga because it is a subject that is both broad and deep. Please send them over to me and I'd be happy to answer you on an upcoming episode of Mondays on the Mat. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in class or live here again next week. I know I have the episode planned, but guess what? The topic of it is completely... Oh, no, I just remembered. It's from Lisa, who wants to know what are some great poses for doing post-running. To be slightly similar to post-hike, but also different. It works the muscle groups differently. So we will have a whole brand new sequence of post-run poses for you coming up next Monday. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Have a beautiful rest of your Monday, a beautiful spring, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Namaste.